Now, let's move on. I'm delighted to say we've got Republic of Ireland international Harry Arter on the line to talk to us about his own move. Harry, Fulham is, it seems like on paper, certainly the perfect place for you. They've got a grand tradition of playing football, and it looks like your strengths and Fulham's desire to play football are a perfect match, a match made in heaven.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping. I think they obviously had a disappointing season last year, but this season they've kept, a good bulk of players together. The owner's very ambitious, and he's desperate to go up at the first attempt. So I'm delighted to be here, and hopefully I can play in the end goal.
Yeah, does it help or hinder the fact that your brother-in-law is the manager? It's like, if he drops you can't really complain too much, but you're kind of hoping that he's not going to drop you because he's your brother-in-law.
Do you know what? Scott's very professional. When it comes to his work, and obviously especially football, he's someone that, family and things like that has to be pushed to the side. I've played against him a couple of times, and it was just like playing against anyone else. So, that side of it, definitely won't be in his mind at all. He obviously rates me as a player and feels I can help the team. So I can't see that being an issue.
Yeah, sorry, all joking aside, obviously a brilliant midfielder in his own right. Is that something that you've spoken to him about ever, like just kind of chatting about game and taking hints and tips? I mean, because obviously, look, you're a seasoned professional at this stage, and there's not a whole heap extra that you're going to be learning, but just little insights to kind of improve your own game.
Well, yeah, I'd say Scott's been, in my family since I was 5, so he's someone that I've grown up with and shared his successes with him, and his successes, at one point were, unbelievable from where I was at. I was watching him when he was captain in England, and I was playing for Woking in the conference. So he's someone that naturally I've always looked up to. And of course, I feel you can always keep learning. I think his mental strength throughout his career is probably one of his greatest strengths. To stay at the top for as long as he did. It's something that obviously I want to try and emulate, definitely in the latter part of my career. So I always feel you can learn no matter how old you are and improve, and I definitely feel he'd be able to do that for me.
Was it always obvious to you that he was going to end up in management?
I think later on in his career, definitely. He, obviously every player takes a different route when it comes to the end of your career. But quite early on, he decided to do his coaching badges, and he worked with some great managers, which I think definitely influenced him. He had great respect for the people he worked for, and lucky enough, he worked under some great managers. So he definitely had some great influences when he was a player, and definitely he'll try and bring that into his own management career. But I think everyone knows, or anyone that knows Scott knows he was a hard-working, top professional, and I think, it was probably a natural progression for him going into management.
Harry, when you talk about never being too old to learn, what is it exactly that you're looking to work on? Is there a specific thing that you're looking to improve in?
Well, I think I'm going to have to get used to the way he wants his team to play. It's definitely going to be different to what I experienced last year for sure, and definitely a bit different to the way Bournemouth plays. So that in itself will definitely be a learning curve, and one that I'm really looking forward to. There's no real sort of specific things that I'm thinking in my head, this is what I need to get better at, but definitely just learning a different way of playing and making sure, I'm able to do everything he wants within the team, tactically and physically.
What is the style of play? How will Fulham approach the Championship? It's such a cutthroat league, but we did see that it was 3 footballing sides who eventually came through last year, and it was the footballing teams who were definitely at the forefront in the division as the season progressed.
Yeah, I definitely think the Championship has changed over the last probably 5 years or so. Of course, there's still teams in there that battle and play long ball, and the typical Championship sort of style football that people might think of. But I think in recent years, you should say the teams that have gone up have definitely played a good brand of football. And I'm sure Scott will be no different. The way he ended the season at Fulham, he got some great results against some good teams, playing some really good stuff. I think it would be important, especially for a team that got relegated, to make sure that you don't lose that fight and that hunger and, realise when you're playing against teams, who may not play as pretty football or as good football, that, you need to have both sides to your game. And that's definitely something that, he'll want from the team, and I'm sure we'll do. And
is it going to be a midfield four? Is it a diamond? Is it three in midfield? Do you know yet exactly what the expectation will be?
I think he wants to play in a free midfield. He played that. That's what obviously we've worked on since I've been there, and I think the team they played that against Barnsley on Saturday. So I think not many teams nowadays that don't really play with free midfield, to be totally honest with you. So I'm sure it'll be a three-man midfield. And
that suits your game obviously as well.
Yeah, I'd say it was a learning curve going to Cardiff, because Bournemouth have probably been definitely in the Premier League, probably one of the only teams that play with two in midfield, and I had to learn, different positions to take up when I was at Cardiff. And as I say, that's the whole learning part with coming to Fulham. It's, as I say, you can never be too old to learn new stuff, and I've worked on the last few days on certain positions that he wants me to pick up that definitely is different to the last two teams that I've been at. And it's all about the understanding and listening to what Scott and the coaching staff want, and making sure that I do it on the pitch.
Are you feeling confident about the season ahead? It's obviously a massive year from an Ireland perspective. Pardon me, from an Ireland perspective as well. Big carrot at the end of the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, it's obviously that's the international wise. That's what everyone's aiming for. I think the disappointment missing out on the World Cup will definitely be in the lads' minds. That night after Denmark, was the result aside, it was obviously so disappointing. But knowing what we've missed out on was, a tough watch for that World Cup. So we definitely won't want that feeling again going into the Euros. I think we're in a really good place mentally with the squad and the results. I think they've, gone really well from the start of the group. Of course, we've got some real tough games now coming up. So yeah, it's going to be a good year, hopefully, and success with Ireland and Fulham would be, a great season.
How big a thing is that, just having a different voice around the international setup? I mean, you've gone between a couple of different clubs at this stage. Maybe for your career, that kind of accelerates it a little bit more, just having a different manager to work under. Has it been the same in the international setup?
Yeah, the transition is always, sometimes difficult to start or sometimes refreshing. And, I feel potentially with Ireland, definitely it was probably what was needed, to be honest. Purely just all the negativity surrounding the World Cup disappointment, and then a few games after that, we didn't really perform too well. And, the managerial game now is so short for managers, the time frame that they're at clubs or countries. So I think potentially that's what it needed, and it's definitely had a positive effect on the team. I think you could see that, albeit the Gibraltar game away, we probably didn't get as many goals as we wanted, and the Georgia game, I felt we performed really well, and again in Denmark. So I feel it's definitely been a good start to mix, new start under us.
Harry, it's obviously transfer deadline day today. Are you glad that you're not in the mix for a move today? Are you happy that this all got sorted out before? These days, talking to Keith Andrews there, he was saying they can be quite stressful when something is going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. This time last year, it was probably not one of my most not nice experiences in football. It was, the unknown is horrible for a footballer, and to be at home last year, it got to about 12 o'clock and it still wasn't decided where I was going, and then literally it was a call saying get up to Cardiff, and had to quickly make the drive up and make the deadline day just in time. So this year's round, I made the decision quite early on that I was either staying at Bournemouth or going to Fulham. And Eddie was really understanding with my situation. He knew my reasons, obviously, why I wanted to go to Fulham, and he was very supportive. If that didn't happen, then I had a real chance of playing at Bournemouth. So I didn't let myself get stressed this year. My decision was made quite early.
Yeah. So last year, were there a bunch of other clubs in for you as well as Cardiff? Was it obvious fairly early on in the day that Cardiff was going to be where you ended up, or was that a bit of a surprise?
Yeah, well, I would say it was a surprise because I didn't really find out until probably 10 o'clock that they were interested, and then 12 o'clock I was making the drive up, and I got to... I didn't really fancy doing a drive from Bournemouth. It was a good 2.5, 3 hours, and I probably got probably about 40 minutes away from Cardiff, and then I got a call saying that Watford had matched the same offer as Cardiff, and it was more that, one, to be honest, the honest truth is that I give Neil Warnock my word that I was signing, and there was no way I could let him down. I didn't really fancy letting him down and making an enemy of him. But it was more, I thought, I can't just do the drive back now to Watford. I've got this far, so I have to go through with it. It's
mad, isn't it? Like it's lunacy, the whole system where a career is decided on the basis of like the time that you could get and the amount of effort that it would take to get from one place to another. I don't know why they can't just make these signatures like digitally online somehow.
I know. I think I'm not naive to know that obviously teams have maybe top targets, second targets, and every club knows things can fall through, and they obviously have plans for if that happens, and I have no doubt that potentially might have been the case with Watford, and I didn't feel that was the case with Cardiff. So I feel every player wants to feel really wanted, and Neil made me feel like I was going to be really wanted at Cardiff, and he obviously put me in straight away, and albeit a disappointing season, it was one that I really enjoyed, and I had a real good relationship with the club.
Harry, what would that sliding doors moment have materialised in? How would the Watford career have turned out? I'm sure it's not something you've thought about too much.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't, because as I say, you can't plan anything in football. You can't plan what could have happened, what might have happened. It's probably the one industry that you can't make any plans for, or really predict what will happen. I made my decision, and I say I was really happy on a personal level how the season went. I really enjoyed my time there, thoroughly enjoyed my time there. And obviously the only disappointment thing was, we didn't manage to stay up. It was, by 1 point in the end, and all the adversity the club faced during the season, on and off the pitch, it would have been really fitting if we did manage to stay up, but unfortunately we didn't.
The very lazy analysis would be to say that Neil Warnock and Eddie Howe are at complete opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to their managerial philosophy. Is that a lazy analysis, or is that kind of fair to say?
Yes, but I don't think there's a problem with that. I've been asked this before in the past, and style of football is not one way to play. I think it's down to whatever's most effective, and Neil had a different group of players to what Eddie had at Bournemouth, and he worked out that he felt the way he wanted to set up and play was going to be the most effective for that team. So I really embraced that part of it. I really embraced the challenge of, as I say, learning a new way of playing. People say it's not pretty or whatever they say, and I can see why they say that, but as I say, there was games where it was really effective and it worked. So I would never want to judge either or for their philosophy. It's what they deem probably most effective at that time.
Yeah, fair enough. Harry, you've got Blackburn at home this weekend and Saturday at 3 o'clock. When do you know what the team for that's going to be? Are you getting close to making your full competitive debut yet for Fulham?
Yeah, I don't know how it works here, to be honest. Obviously, at Cardiff and Bournemouth, the managers named the team before the game. I'm not sure whether that's something Scott does. But we're off today, and obviously going tomorrow, I'm sure he'll have a set up in the team. And obviously, I'm desperate to play, of course. But the bigger picture is, I always say, definitely when there's a real purpose within a squad, like staying up last year and like making sure we get promoted this year. The most important thing is the team, and making sure you're a good teammate to everyone, playing or not playing, because the end goal is definitely more important than the individual goal. So whatever part he wants me to play this year, I'll definitely be playing it to my fullest.
Well, listen,